Welcome to Miss Retro Reads. For our Sunday reading, I thought I would read to you the story of St. Catherine from the Golden Legend, Volume 2. Catherine comes from Catha, which means total, and ruina, ruin, hence total ruin. The devil's building was totally demolished in St. Catherine, the edifice of pride by her humility, that of carnal concupiscence by the virginity which she preserved, and that of worldly greed, because she despised all worldly goods. Or Catherine's name may be taken for catenula, a small chain, for by her good works she fashioned a chain for herself by which she climbed to heaven. This chain or ladder has 4 steps, which are innocence of action, cleanliness of heart, contempt for vanity, and speaking of truth. The prophet proposes these one by one. Who shall ascend into the mountains of the Lord, the innocent in hands and the clean of heart? Who hath not taken his soul in vain, nor sworn deceitfully to his neighbor? How these 4 steps were present in Blessed Catherine's life will be clear as we read her story. Catherine, the daughter of King Costus, was fully instructed in all the liberal studies. Emperor Maxentius had summoned all the people, rich and poor alike, to Alexandria to offer sacrifices to the idols, and was persecuting the Christians who refused to do so. When Catherine, then 18 years old and living alone in a palace filled with treasure and servants, heard the bellowing of animals and the hurrahs of the singers, she quickly sent a messenger to find out what was going on. Learning the facts, she took some people from the palace with her, and arming herself with the sign of the cross, went out and saw many Christians about to offer sacrifice, because they were afraid to die. Deeply grieved by what she saw, she boldly made her way into the emperor's presence and spoke as follows: "Both the dignity of your rank and the dictates of reason counseled me, Emperor, to present my greetings to you if you were to acknowledge the Creator of heavens and renounce the worship of false gods." Standing at the temple entrance, she argued at length with the emperor by syllogistic reasoning, as well as by allegory and metaphor, logical and mystical inference. Then she reverted to the common speech and said, "I have taken care to propose these thoughts to you as to a wise person. But now let me ask you why you have vainly gathered this crowd to worship the stupidity of idols. You wonder at this temple built by the hands of artisans. You admire the precious ornaments that in time will be like dust blown before the face of the wind. Marvel rather at the heavens and the earth, the land and the sea, at that is in them. Marvel at their ornaments, the sun, the moon, the stars, and at their service. How from the beginning of the world until its end, by night and by day, they run to the west and go back to the east and never grow weary. Take note of all these things, and then ask and learn. Who is it who is more powerful than they? When, by his gift, you have come to know him and have been unable to find his equal, adore him, give him the glory, because he is the God of gods and the Lord of lords." And she went on to discourse at length and with wisdom about the incarnation of the Lord. The emperor was so amazed that he could make no reply to her, but recovered himself and said, "Please, O woman, please let us finish our sacrifice, and afterwards we will come back to this discussion." He then had her accompanied to the palace and guarded carefully. He was overwhelmed with the admiration of her knowledge and the beauty of her person. She was indeed lovely to behold, of truly incredible beauty, and was seen by all as admirable and gracious. The emperor came to the palace and said to Catherine, "We have heard your eloquence and admire your knowledge, but were so intent upon worshipping the gods that we were unable to follow all you said. Now, let us start by hearing about your ancestry. It is written," says Catherine, "that one should neither speak too highly of oneself nor belittle oneself. Foolish people do that, being teased by a taste for hollow glory. But I avow my parentage, not boastfully, but for love of humility. I am Catherine, only daughter of King Costus. Though born to the purple and quite well instructed in the liberal disciplines, I have turned my back on all that and taken refuge in the Lord Jesus Christ. On the other hand, the gods you worship can help neither you nor anybody else. O unhappy devotees of idols, that when called upon in need are not there, who offer no succor in tribulation, nor defense in danger." "If things are as you say they are," the emperor answered, "then the whole world is in error, and you alone speak the truth. However, since every word is confirmed in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, no one would have to believe you even if you were an angel or a heavenly power, and all the less since obviously you are but a frail woman." Catherine's reply was, "I implore you, Caesar, do not let yourself be carried away by anger, lest dire disturbance overturn a wise man's mind. For the poet says, 'If you are ruled by the mind, you are a king. If by the body, you are slave.'" "I see now," said the emperor, "that you are bent on ensnaring us with your perfidious cunning, as you try to prolong this discussion by quoting the philosophers." Maxentius was now aware that he could not compete with Catherine's learning. So he secretly sent letters to all the masters of logic and rhetoric, ordering them to come quickly to the court at Alexandria, and promising them huge rewards if they could best this female with their arguments. 50 orators, who surpassed all mortal men in every branch of the human knowledge, came together from various provinces. They asked the emperor why they had been summoned from so far away, and he told them, "We have a girl here who has no equal in understanding and prudence. She refuses all our wise men and declares that all our gods are demons. If you can get the better of her, you will go home rich and famous." At this, one of the orators broke out in a voice trembling with indignation, "Oh, deep, deep thinking of the emperor, who, on account of a trifling dispute with one girl, has gathered men of learning from the ends of the earth, when any one of our pupils could have silenced her with the greatest of ease." But the Caesar retorted, "I could indeed have forced her to sacrifice or got rid of her with a round of torture, but I thought it better to have her refused once and for all by your arguments." So the master said, "Have this maiden brought before us. Let her be put to shame for her rashness. Let her realize that she has never even seen wise men before." When Catherine was informed about the contest that awaited her, she commended herself totally to God, and at once an angel of the Lord stood by her side and admonished her to stand firm, assuring her that she could not be defeated by these people, and more than that, she would convert them and set them on the road to martyrdom. She was then brought into the presence of the orators. To the emperor she said, "Is it fair for you to array 50 orators against one girl, promising the orators rich returns for winning, and forcing me to fight without any hope of reward? Yet my reward will be the Lord Jesus Christ, who is the hope and crown of those who fight for him." The debate began, and when the orators said that it was impossible for God to become man or to suffer, Catherine showed that this had been predicted even by pagans. Plato affirms a God beset and mutilated. Sibyl, too, speaks as follows: Happy that God who hangs from a high tree. The Virgin went on to contradict the orator with the utmost skill, and refuted them with the clear and cognate reasoning, to the point that they, dumbstruck, found nothing to respond, and were reduced to silence. This drove the emperor to fresh bursts of fury, and he began to rail at them for letting a young girl make fools of them. Then one, the dean of the others, spoke out. You must know, Caesar, that no one has ever been able to stand up to us and not be put down forthwith, but this young woman, in whom the Spirit of God speaks, has answered us so admirably that either we do not know what to say against Christ, or else we fear to say anything at all. Therefore, Emperor, we firmly declare that unless you can propose a more tenable opinion regarding the gods whom hitherto we have worshipped, we are all converted to Christ. Hearing this, the emperor, beside himself with rage, gave orders to burn them all in the middle of the city. With words of encouragement, the Virgin strengthened their resolution in the face of martyrdom, and diligently instructed them in the faith. When they were troubled because they would die without being baptized, she told them, Have no fear, the shedding of your blood will be counted for you as baptism and crown. They armed themselves with the sign of the cross, and were thrown into the flames, thus rendering their souls to the Lord. And it happened that not a hair of their heads, nor a shred of their garments, was as much as singed by the fire. Then the Christians buried them. The tyrant now addressed the Virgin. O damsel nobly born, take thought to your youth. In my palace you will be called second only to the Queen. Your image will be erected in the center of the city, and you will be adored by all as a goddess. Stop saying such things, Catherine answered. It is a crime even to think them. I have given myself as his bride to Christ, and he is my glory, he my love, he my sweetness and my delight. Neither blandishment nor torture will draw me away from his love. The emperor's anger surged back in full, and he ordered her to be shut up for 12 days in a dark cell, left to suffer the pangs of hunger. He then left the city to attend to affairs of state. Then the queen, afire with love, hastened at nightfall to the Virgin's cell, accompanied by the captain of the guard, whose name was Porphyrius. When the queen entered, she saw the cell filled with indescribable brilliance, angels ministering to the Virgin's wounds. Catherine began at once to preach to her about the joys of heaven, converted her to the faith, and predicted a martyr's crown for her. Thus they went on talking until past midnight. Porphyrius, having heard all this, threw himself at the saint's feet, and along with 200 soldiers acknowledged the faith of Christ. Moreover, since the tyrant had ordered that Catherine be left for 12 days without food, Christ sent a shining dove from heaven and refreshed her with celestial viands during these days. The Lord appeared to her with a multitude of angels and virgins, and said, O daughter, recognize your Creator, for whose name you have undergone a toilsome conflict. Be constant, because I am with you. Upon his return, the emperor had Catherine brought before him. He expected to find her worn out by the long fast, but instead saw her more radiant than ever. He thought someone had fed her in prison, and this made him very angry, and he ordered the guards to be tortured. The Virgin, however, said to him, I received food from no man, but Christ fed me by an angel. The emperor said, Take to heart, I beg of you, the warning I am giving you, and give me no more of your dubious answers. We have no wish to own you as a mere servant. You will be a powerful queen in my realm, chosen, honored, triumphant. Catherine said, "Now you yourself pay attention. I pray you, and after judicious consideration of my question, give an honest decision. Whom should I choose? One who is powerful, eternal, glorious, and honored, or one who is weak, mortal, ignoble, and ugly?" Indignantly, Maxentius retorted, "Now you choose one or the other for yourself. Offer sacrifice and live, or submit to exquisite torture and die." Catherine said, "Whatever torments you have in mind, don't waste time. My one desire is to offer my flesh and blood to Christ as he offered himself for me. He is my God, my lover, my shepherd, and my one and only spouse." Now a certain prefect urged the furious ruler to have prepared, within 3 days, 4 wheels studded with iron saws and sharp pointed nails, and to have the Virgin torn to pieces with these horrible instruments, thus terrorizing the rest of the Christians with the example of so awful a death. It was further ordered that 2 of the wheels should revolve in one direction and the other 2 turn in the opposite direction, so that the maiden would be mangled and torn by the 2 wheels coming down on her, and chewed up by the other 2 coming against her from below. But the Holy Virgin prayed to the Lord to destroy the machine for the glory of his name and the conversion of the people standing around, and instantly an angel of the Lord struck that engine such a blow that it was shattered, and 4,000 pagans were killed. The queen, who until then had not shown herself and had watched what was going on from above, now came down and berated the emperor severely for his cruelty. The monarch was enraged, and when the queen refused to offer sacrifice, commanded that she first have her breast torn off and then beheaded. As she was led away to her martyrdom, she begged Catherine to pray God for her. "Fear not, O Queen, beloved of God," the saint answered, "for today you will gain an eternal kingdom in place of a transitory one, and an immortal spouse for a mortal." The queen, thus strengthened in her resolve, exhorted the executioner not to tarry, but to carry out their orders. They therefore led her out of the city, and tore off her breasts with iron pikes, and then cut off her head. Porphyrius snatched up her body and buried it. The following day, when an unsuccessful search was made for the queen's body, and the tyrants for the reason ordered many to be questioned under torture, Porphyrius burst in and declared, "I am the one who buried the servant of Christ. I have accepted the faith." At this Maxentius, out of his wits, uttered a terrible roar and exclaimed, "O me, wretched as I am, to be pitied by all! Now even Porphyrius, sole guardian of my soul and my solace in all my toil, even he has been duped." And when he turned to his soldier, they promptly responded, "We too are Christians and are ready to die." The emperor, drunk with rage, ordered them all to be beheaded with Porphyrius, and their bodies to be torn by the dogs. Next he summoned Catherine and told her, "Even though you used your magical arts to bring the queen to death, if you have now come to your senses, you shall be first lady in my palace. Today, therefore, you shall either offer sacrifices to the gods or lose your head." Her answer was, "Do anything you have a mind to do. You will find me prepared to bear whatever it is." She was whereupon sentenced to death by beheading. When she was led to the place of execution, she raised her eyes to heaven and prayed, "O hope and glory of virgins, Jesus, good King, I beg of you that anyone who honors the memory of my passion, or who invokes me at the moment of death, or in any need, may receive the benefit of your kindness." A voice was heard saying to her, "Come, my beloved, my spouse, see, heaven's gates are open to you and those who will celebrate your passion. with devout minds. I promise to help from heaven for which you have prayed. When the saint had been beheaded, milk flowed from her body instead of blood, and the angels took up the body and carried it from that place a 20 days' journey to Mount Sinai, where they gave it an honorable burial. An oil still issues continuously from her bones and mends the limbs of all who are weak. She suffered under the tyrant Maxentius or Maximus, whose reign began about AD 310. How Maxentius was punished for this and other crimes is told in the legend of the finding of the Holy Cross. It is said that a certain monk from Rouen journeyed to Mount Sinai and stayed there for 7 years, devoting himself to the service of St. Catherine. He prayed intensely that he might be worthy to have a relic from her body, and suddenly one of the fingers broke off from her hand. The monk joyfully accepted God's gift and carried it back to his monastery. It is also told that a man who had been devoted to St. Catherine and often called upon her for help became careless in the course of time, lost his devotion, and no longer prayed to her. Then one time, when he was at prayer, he saw in a vision a procession of virgins going by, and among them one who seemed more resplendent than the rest. As this virgin came closer to him, she covered her face and so passed in front of him with her face veiled. Being deeply impressed by her beauty, he asked who she was. And one of the virgins answered, "This is Catherine, whom you used to know, but now, when you do not seem to know her, she has passed you by, with her face veiled, as one unknown to you." It is worthy of note that Blessed Catherine is admirable in 5 respects: first in wisdom, second in eloquence, third in constancy, fourth in the cleanliness of chastity, fifth in her privileged dignity. Some saints have received special privileges at the time of death, for instance, a visitation by Christ, as St. John the Evangelist, or an outflow of oil, as St. Nicholas has, an infusion of milk, St. Paul, the preparation of a sepulchre, St. Clement, and the hearing of petitions, St. Margaret of Antioch, when she prayed for those who would honor her memory. St. Catherine's legend shows that all these privileges were hers. The end. I had read St. Catherine's life quite a while ago, and I had not remembered how many people converted to the faith through her. It was amazing. And she's somebody we should pray to today when so many people have wrong theology and are just led astray by wrong thinking. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and St. Catherine, pray for us. And thanks for listening to Miss Retro Reads.